After 9 seasons, American Horror Story is still going strong with captivating storylines, unforgettable characters, and a bunch of nightmares in between. As many of you already know, some of those nightmares are based on reality.
Welcome to Devil's Night at the Hotel Cortez, John.
That's right, many of the major plot points and characters are inspired by true stories. From the Black Dahlia and Murder House, all the way to the Night Stalker and AHS 1984, we'll examine each season. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Let's get this started with Season 1 Murder House with Richard Speck's killing spree and the Black Dahlia case.
Saw you down on the sidewalk. It seemed to be a very interesting encounter. Carson was
You think Jesus is going to save you?
I'm already saved. We all are.
We begin in Season 1, Episode 2, Home Invasion, where audiences may remember a few nurses, Maria and Gladys, who were killed in the Los Angeles Victorian home in 1968. On the show, the two invite an unknown man with blood on his forehead inside their home when he asks for help.
Excuse me, ma'am, I don't want to bother you, but I'm hurt and needing some help.
While trying to clean his wound, Maria discovers that he's uninjured, and it turns out to be a big trap. He knocks out Maria and drags Gladys upstairs and drowns her in a bathtub. When Maria awakens, the man makes her put on a nurse uniform and then proceeds to bind her arms and feet and leaves her lying on the sofa.
Put it on.
And moments later, the man stabs her repeatedly in the back. Creator and writer Ryan Murphy has stated that the nurses Maria and Gladys in the show weren't based on specific people, but their murders were. The serial killer portrayed by Jamie Harris in AHS goes by the name R. Franklin, but is inspired by the case of real-life American mass murderer Richard Speck. In 1966, Speck killed, raped, and massacred 8 nurses in a Chicago dorm. Now, the appearance of Franklin matched the basic description for Speck, as he was a slender white male standing about 6 feet tall. Yet, the rest of the AHS portrayal is mostly just good dramatization due to his screen time running less than 4 minutes. Now let's take a look at the real-life inspiration for the scene, which actually took place on July 13th, 1966 in Chicago. Early in the day, Speck had been frustrated with a maritime union hiring hall hoping to find a job on a ship, but to no avail. That morning, Speck was arguing in a car with his sister Martha and her husband Gene, who had driven down to visit. It turns out they parked right across the street from the townhouses where the nurses lived. And when they separated, Speck would wait at the hiring hall for a short time before he would leave and check into a Chicago rooming house with the money his sister had given him. He would spend the rest of the day drinking at a nearby bar right before he approached a 53-year-old woman at knife point. Speck took her back to his room where he raped her and stole her .22 caliber pistol. Speck then returned to drink at the very same bar just after 10 p.m. And just like his appearance on AHS, he left dressed entirely in black, armed with a switchblade and the stolen handgun. At 11 p.m., Speck broke into a Chicago townhouse that was functioning as a dorm for student nurses. Speck held the women in a room for hours, leading them out one by one, stabbing or strangling each to death, then finally raping and strangling his last victim. And one woman was able to escape the chaos by staying hidden under a bed until almost 6 a.m. 2 days after the murders, Speck was identified by a fellow drinking acquaintance who recognized the sketch of the murderer in a newspaper. But that wasn't how he was finally arrested. On July 16th, Speck attempted suicide and was taken to the Cook County Hospital, where a resident physician identified Speck from his Born to Raise Hell tattoo. Soon after, the police were called and Speck was arrested. And on April 15, 1967, after a short deliberation, the jury found Speck guilty and recommended the death penalty. It would take over a decade before Speck finally confessed to the murders in public when he spoke to the Chicago Tribune in 1978. And he would die in prison in 1991.
Dr. Curran, I presume.
Also during Season 1, AHS revealed that one of the past guests at the LA murder house was Elizabeth Short, aka the Black Dahlia. Now, while the Richard Speck killings were portrayed in a realistic scenario, this next true crime story takes a turn for the fantastical. On AHS, Elizabeth Short, portrayed by Mena Suvari, is an aspiring actress that winds up at the doorsteps of the murder house to visit Dr. David Curran in 1947. Low on cash, Short turned to the dentist for dental work in exchange for sexual favors.
Don't you think we could come to some kind of mutually beneficial arrangement, Dr. Curran?
From there, the doctor puts Short under with nitrous oxide and then proceeds to rape her. Afterwards, the doc takes off the nitrous mask and quickly discovers that she fatally overdosed on the supply. He would then drag the body to the basement where the ghost of Charles Montgomery offered to help him with his current predicament.
I am quite a renowned surgeon. I'm here to help you.
Later, he would walk in on Montgomery, mutilating Elizabeth's body and carving a Glasgow smile on her face.
I've bisected her body, removed the intestines, and drained her blood.
Why?
A writer writes, a surgeon cuts. I think you will find these pieces more portable.
and it's later implied that Coran dumped Short's body in a vacant lot in Leimert Park where she would be discovered by Betty Bersinger and her daughter. Obviously, the American Horror Story writers took some liberties with their portrayal of the 1947 unexplained and unsolved murder.
I don't want to crush your carnation.
It's not a carnation, silly. It's a dahlia.
In real life, Elizabeth Short never went by the name the Black Dahlia until well after her death. In fact, that nickname has been linked with two William Randolph Hearst newspapers, the Los Angeles Examiner and the Los Angeles Herald Express. And after deceiving her mother, Phoebe Short, the newspaper offered to pay for her airfare and accommodations if she would travel to Los Angeles to help the police with their investigation. That, of course, was a giant lie, as they just wanted to hide her from the cops and rival newspapers to hold on to their scoop. And soon enough, they would sensationalize the case, and the media would nickname her the Black Dahlia. The Black Dahlia was supposedly a reference to Short's admiration for sheer black dresses, and a play on the 1946 film noir, The Blue Dahlia.
You've never seen me before tonight.
Every guy's seen you before, somewhere. The trick is to find you.
In an attempt to pull in more readers, they leaned in on sexual fantasies, describing her as an adventuress who prowled Hollywood Boulevard. Even the LA Times would jump in, calling the murder a sex fiend slaying. Now, the AHS writers did get a few things right about the murder, such as where the body was dumped. On the morning of January 15, 1947, Short's naked body was found severed in two places on a vacant lot in Leimert Park, Los Angeles, and her face had been slashed from the corners of her mouth to her ears just like on the show. And yes, Betty Bersinger did indeed discover the body with her 3-year-old daughter. At first she thought it was a store mannequin before finally rushing to call the police. And no, Short did not visit the dentist before her murder as depicted on the show. Allegedly, the last time she was seen was at the Crown Grill Cocktail Lounge near the Biltmore Hotel she was staying at 6 days prior to the discovery of her body. In the aftermath of the grisly discovery, a total of 750 investigators worked on the case during its initial stages. The LAPD produced over 150 suspects but yielded no arrest. Dozens would come forward with confessions to the murder, most of which police dismissed as false and would lead to several obstruction of justice charges. Mirroring the legacy of Jack the Ripper, there are plenty of suspects remaining under discussion by various authors and detectives. The list of suspects goes on for days, and Short's life and death has been the basis of numerous books and films.
Okay, should I read into the camera?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm told that I'm very photogenic.
And as one of the oldest unsolved cases in Los Angeles County, the case has been credited on many occasions as one of the first major crimes in post-World War II America to capture national attention by crime historian Dirk Gibson.
Honey, don't you know who you are?
I'm Elizabeth Short.
You really don't know, do you?
And Time magazine listed it as one of the most infamous unsolved cases in the world. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll be back very soon to jump right into next season's true crime inspiration, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out.